Hello! This story was shared with us by one of our audience members, and we want to extend a heartfelt thank you for that. If you'd like to share your story and have it featured on our channel, feel free to send it to darkcronfiles@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. It all started like any other online connection. Chris and I had been chatting for weeks. He was charming, funny, and seemed genuine. Someone who didn't raise any red flags, at least not at first. After several exchanges and a few video calls, we decided to meet in person. Our date was at a cozy cafe downtown. Chris looked exactly like his pictures, tall, with an easy smile and kind eyes. We talked for hours, laughing about random things and bonding over shared interests. By the time we said goodbye, I felt like I'd met someone I could really connect with. I drove home still smiling from the evening when my phone buzzed. It was Chris. "Hey, sorry to bother you so soon after the date," he began, sounding slightly embarrassed. "But I've got a bit of a problem. I lost my keys to my apartment and my roommate's out of town. I don't have anywhere to go tonight. Do you mind if I crash on your couch? Just for tonight. I'll call a locksmith first thing in the morning." I hesitated. Letting someone I just met into my home wasn't my usual move, but Chris had been nothing but polite and seemed genuinely in a bind. Against my better judgment, I said yes. Chris arrived at my place about 30 minutes later, holding nothing but his phone and wallet. He thanked me profusely, looking sheepish. I set up the couch for him, handed him a blanket, and retreated to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. It was late, and I was exhausted, but something felt off. Maybe it was the suddenness of his request or the way he seemed oddly unprepared for a night out. I told myself I was overthinking and forced myself to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of something metallic clinking. My heart raced. I stayed perfectly still, straining my ears to figure out where the noise was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from the kitchen. Quietly, I crept to my bedroom door and peeked out through the small gap. Chris wasn't on the couch. I glanced toward the kitchen and saw him rummaging through the drawers. He had a strange, almost frantic look on his face, like he was searching for something specific. "Chris?" I called out cautiously. He froze, then slowly turned toward me, forcing a smile. "Hey, sorry, I was just looking for some water." "I didn't want to wake you," he said, his voice light and casual, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he was lying. I pointed him to the cabinet with glasses and watched as he poured himself water. Then, without a word, I went back to my room and locked the door again. My instincts were screaming at me now. Something wasn't right. I couldn't sleep after that. Instead, I sat on my bed, clutching my phone, scrolling through the messages we'd exchanged over the past few weeks. Then it hit me. I didn't really know anything about Chris. He'd been charming, yes, but vague. He'd mentioned a job, but never details. Talked about a roommate, but never elaborated. My stomach turned as I realized how much I'd assumed about him without proof. Minutes turned to hours, and I listened carefully for any noise outside my room. At some point, I must have dozed off because I woke up to the sound of my bedroom door handle jiggling. My blood ran cold. "Chris?" I called out, my voice shaky. "Oh, sorry," he said from the other side of the door. I was going to ask if you had an extra pillow." That was the final straw. I didn't respond. Instead, I grabbed my phone and texted a friend who lived nearby, asking them to come over immediately. I wasn't going to stay alone with him any longer than necessary. When my friend arrived, I opened the door just enough to let them in. Chris looked surprised and annoyed. "Sorry," I said, forcing a smile. "I just realized I'm not comfortable with this situation. My friend's here to stay with me, so I think it's best if you leave." Chris's polite facade cracked for a moment, replaced by a flicker of anger. But then he smiled again, too widely. "Of course, I understand. Thanks for letting me crash here." He grabbed his things and left without a fuss, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd narrowly avoided something terrible. The next day, I did some digging. Using his name and phone number, I found his social media profiles, or rather, the lack of them. The only account linked to him was a local news article from 2 years ago. My blood ran cold as I read the headline, "Man arrested in connection to burglary spree, posing as a roommate to gain trust." Chris wasn't who he said he was. I blocked his number and reported the incident to the police. From that day forward, I promised myself to trust my gut and never let my guard down again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Have a story to share? Send it to us at darkchronfilesigmail.com. Your tale might be featured in an upcoming video. Watch more mysteries and suspense by clicking on the thumbnails. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one.